Well, good afternoon, everybody. I usually say good morning, but it's 1:50 in the afternoon on May 3rd, and we have another comments video. It's been 5 days or so, and we're going to start off with Judy Hera. And Judy says, before I get started, there's Dottie and there's George taking over the couch. Me talking has gotten Dottie up and around, maybe. No, she's going back now. So Judy says, my husband and I recently started watching your videos. We have enjoyed them. When I saw Carlsbad mentioned, it caught my interest. We actually live about 3 minutes from you. If you'd like to meet in person, let us know. We would never turn down a new friend. What a kind thing to say. I'm a little more than 3 minutes from Carlsbad, but I'm in the neighborhood. So Dan Hardesty says, he was talking about the last comment video, the first version. I 5 or 6 days ago, the first version of it, I froze in like the 10-minute mark, like this. But the audio continued for like an hour. And as soon as I was alerted to that, I made that one private, re-uploaded, recompiled, or whatever you call it, re-rendered, and uploaded a new version. So I don't look like this for an hour straight. So Virginia Hankey says, second verse, same as the first. I was there for the first pause to use the bathroom and came back and it was gone. Glad I found it again. So she noticed that too, and thought it was her playback, but it wasn't. It was all my fault. RW9573, glad you're back. I scrubbed forward a bit to the place I paused from listening earlier. You were speaking of Billy the Kid. Sheriff Pat Garrett, who supposedly took the life of Billy, has some history in the southeast corner of New Mexico. The Garrett family was very instrumental in developing the canals and irrigation district for a lot of farms in the area, as well as being the sheriff in Lincoln. Lincoln's not far from here. Matt F., how are you doing? I enjoy your content. I want to try the nomad life, but I'm nervous about how to find places to sleep and camp. I have researched some of the annual passes, but some of them appear to have hidden fees. Any advice for newbies? Well, I got about 2,000 videos, and you can certainly go through there and find things I talk about in terms of places to camp and how much things cost. And there's a plethora of other YouTubers that provide that information as well. And you'll find as much information as you need. It's not that hard. It can be very inexpensive. You just need to know where to go. YouTube is your friend. Lisa Ross said about Susan's comment, a Persian is a type of cat with long hair. A lion cut is a type of haircut on a long-haired cat that's basically shaved cat, so it looks like a lion. Is that you, George? Well, George's sides are shaved because of the matted hair, so that's what Susan was talking about. And Ken Gray says, nope, didn't notice the lettuce in your teeth. I was talking like this, and I kept feeling something like there's a piece of lettuce or something in my teeth. Lisa Roth, hey Lisa, comments on scholarship from Taco Bell. Way to go, Crimson. I love her future focus too. She seems to be quite a giving young woman. This was the first I've heard about Taco Bell's scholarship program. I'm impressed. Yeah, Taco Bell gave her a total of $40,000 in scholarship funds, tuition funds, grants. Pretty nice. She was working there as a teenager and wanted to become a doctor. Good story. It was positive news number 406. Number 403 was new UTI, urinary tract infection treatment. And Lisa on that one says, I lost a cousin to an untreated UTI. But just about broke my heart. I shared this on Facebook. The more people know, the better. Thanks, Rob. You're welcome, Lisa. In my video on the fence about a fence, and how I tricked myself into thinking I didn't like the fence I had, and then I discovered the truth. I liked my fence. You got to watch the video to get the whole thing. But Letty Diaz says, stay positive. You can do whatever the heck you want. Remember, 80 is the new 60. New hip, feet, legs, attitude, and strong mindset. You found the fountain of youth. Susan says your beard does not make you look older. It suits you. I love short, neat, trimmed beard like yours. Even both my sisters on the call said, I really like your beard. And what I was talking about, this lady sent me this email saying, it makes you look decades older. You need to shave it off. Steve, I bought my wife an electric bike for her birthday. She had not rode in 10 years since major stroke, and she scares the hell out of me riding it. But I love it. The thing will go 28 miles per hour. My personal opinion is 28 miles per hour is way, way too fast for an e-bike. Mine maxes out at 20, and I rarely do it. Tamara Lemon noticed that George made an appearance, like today, too, right? Man left paralyzed by shooting takes on a marathon. That was positive news 404. And Kristalina says, clap, applause. In the Taco Bell video, she says, that's incredible. Joe McIntosh, I think what the guy meant is travel trailer is always moving when you're walking or wind blowing, etc. Some animals are sensitive to feel a possible earthquake. That's a good point, but with my stabilizers down and everything, on a concrete pad, that little trailer does really not. I don't do a lot of walking in it, and even if I did, it really, I can't feel it move at all. Maybe George can. Maybe you're right. I'm not sure. Even powerful winds, it really doesn't move much at all. But you could be right. Lisa, great story. Animals know a lot more than many people give them credit for. It upsets Blackjack, that's one of her cats. Guess what color it is? When I cough, I try to tell him it's okay. I wonder sometimes if he's remembering my late husband who passed from stage 4 lung cancer. Wow. This was a positive news 407 on a dog that detected breast cancer in his mom, and she knew about it long. The dog seemed to know about it long before her or the doctor. And Ken Gray says another reason to have and cherish pets. Bunch of comments on my Amazon purchase description. I know it seems weird, doesn't it? But people like me shooting these videos and talking about what I bought on Amazon and why I bought it and what I thought about it and whether or not it so far was successful. Ken Gray says overall good purchases. Pete Diaz, Ken, I'm going to read between those lines a little bit. I'm going to guess there was one purchase that you didn't approve of. Am I right? Overall good purchases is different than good purchases. There was one that bothered him. And I can't remember what the purchases were, so I can't guess because I can't remember what they were. Pete Diaz says Amazon Prime cash back and 2-day free shipping. I use it for everything. Adds up for sure. Cindy Wall says Amazon has blur suspenders, different blues, even paisley ones. Wiki, you up, Rat? Okay, watching this, I realized I'm watching TV too much. That seems like saying, this is silly, so I shouldn't be watching it. Maybe you're right. Don Collin Creative. I've owned 5 different temperature displays, all with remote sensors have failed. Went back to an analog thermometer on the front porch. I check it by looking out the glass in the front door. Well, my remote sensor did not, it failed by being run over by a truck. That's how it failed. That's kind of not the manufacturer's fault. So I replaced that. He also says, Rob, I often buy things that I may never use, but I'm trying to think these purchases through. It's okay to buy silly things once in a while. Topaz Farmer says, interesting. Couple Science says, this holds a lot of stuff. We have the same one. She's talking about this rack I hang on my bathroom door that's got all these pouches on them. It's great for space saving. Nash says, no, you won't return the Bluetooth gadget for the TV. I like the shade of blue for the suspenders. Cool. Big hug to Dottie and George. As it turns out, those suspenders are the right shade of blue, but they're really, really thin. They're like 1 inch. So I found a suspender company and ordered thicker blue ones. 1.5 inches. And I'm going to guess this is either 1.5 inches or 2 inches. I can't really tell. I'd have to measure it, but I like this width. All right, I'm not gonna rest until I. Yeah, as I suspected, it's these are 2 inches, and the ones I tracked down were 1.5 inches. So it's gonna be like that width probably. I'm a little disappointed because I really wanted 2 inches, but they didn't have it. They didn't have 2 inches in any of their suspenders. All right. Montana wife says, I love going to new towns and not knowing what's around every corner. It's such an adventure. I agree. I like doing that too. RW9573, in that video they're talking about, there was a little sign as I pulled into Lowe's that said, "You're now in caveman country," and I wondered aloud, I wonder what they mean by that. And I wonder aloud often in videos because I know people like RW9573 will come in and tell me. Good morning, sir. The caveman country refers to the high school moniker. They are the Carlsbad Caveman sports teams. Makes sense now, doesn't it? Brian Dady. Hey, Rob, what year is your truck? How many miles do you have? What engine is it? I just bought an F-150 camper. Thank you. Well, I answered him and I said, I have a 2018 F-150 XLT 2-wheel drive 3.5 EcoBoost. And it's wonderful for pulling my little Winnebago Micro Mini, which probably gets close to 6,000 pounds when everything's in it. And it's like it's not behind me. It's a pretty powerful truck, especially that 3.5 EcoBoost. I love this little number 408 positive news, a 3-year-old's message for men. It's just, you got to see it to really understand it. Topaz Farmer Travel says, I think this is the best story you've ever shared. And Topaz Farmer put, I think, at least a dozen hearts. See? Lisa, back in '88, our driver's licenses cost us $10 each, but we had to take a test. We were back there in 2001, but strangely enough, I don't recall the cost of that time. I love New Mexico. It's an amazingly beautiful state. It really is. John Barba. Wow, so much to think about when changing domicile. Stick with Arizona for now. Thanks for the heads up. Yeah, one of the things I was talking about is when I mentioned I wanted to redo my domicile here in New Mexico, someone said, oh, don't do that. They have income tax. Well, they do. Nevada doesn't. But the insurance for my truck was half. The registering the trailer and getting plates for the trailer and the truck were like 10% of the cost that it cost me in Nevada. Health insurance was a little bit less. So I think overall my expenses, including the income tax, are going to be far less than they were in Nevada. So you got to consider all the expenses, all the things. On the 3-year-old message for men, Lisa says, what a lovely story. That's a really super dad there. And on my trip to the DMV, Ken says, well, you not only look like a local, you are in fact a local. And he also commented on the 3-year-old's video. This brought a smile to my heart. RV Life says, it was fun going through the car wash. Yeah, I just kept the camera going through the car wash. Nash says, hi, Rob. Thanks for the ride around town and the car wash. I feel nice and refreshed now. That's funny. Marilyn Decker says, Rob, what's a VIN check? Well, VIN is a vehicle identification number. And in many states, New Mexico and Nevada included, when you come to register a vehicle that hasn't before been registered in the state, it requires a VIN inspection to make sure the actual vehicle identification number on the vehicle matches what's on the title. Important. Barb. Hey, Barb Connor. Buffalo Wild Wings is my favorite. I get the Louisiana rub, all flats. It could be caveman country because of the caverns. And I think it's the caveman that, in a roundabout way, I think you're right. I think they named the sports team Caveman, and because of the Carlsbad, it's in Carlsbad Caverns. It all connects. Christy Lena, I like the Taco Bell Mexican pizza too. It's number 9 at Taco Bell. It's a Mexican pizza and 2 crunchy tacos. It's pretty darn good. Now, an older, I think 2 years. 2 years? Was it 2 years maybe? It's been a while. 10 things to know before you go to quartzsite. BFLO 100 said, where are you sitting with the mountain behind you in the video? Please tell me. Well, it was in Coyote Creek State Park in Guadalupe, New Mexico. That's where it was. Beautiful place. Eve Carrington said, what kind of voodoo is this? Who only spends 30 minutes in the DMV? That's not humanly possible. Glad you were able to quickly and cheaply take care of your business. Great video. I love seeing the sights around town. I may never visit, but at least I know where everything is. Thanks for your great work. And what she's referring to is I went and got my truck registered, got plates for the truck, and got a driver's license. I made an online appointment for 9 a.m. I walked into the place at 8:58 and checked in with my phone. And a minute later, they called me up, and I was walking back to my truck with my plates in my temporary driver's license at 9:37. Crazy, right? 3-year-old's message for men. Stacy Jones says, thank you for sharing the story. I hadn't seen the video. It's a great little story. Susan Jack says, did they give you a choice of style of plate? Yellow, turquoise, or New Mexico and chilies? They did. There were free ones, like 3. But I got yellow with red lettering. All right. Bill Fargo. Midland, Texas is the area with a lot of wells. La Cruces, west of you, is a pretty nice area. Stay out of El Paso. I used to fly in there many years ago, but it's gotten pretty bad from what I hear. P.S. New Mexico has the best Mexican food in the U.S. That could be. I bet there's a close between Texas and New Mexico. Montana wife says the pic does look really nice. And that's on the video Today's Adventure. And the reason it looks so nice is I wasn't going to do a video. Didn't have any camera with me, but I went to the car wash and everything got squeaky clean on the windshield. So I used my phone to invent it. And I said, hey, through a clean windshield, this is going to look really good. And she agreed. It did look good. Number 409 positive news is somebody figured out a way to get electricity from rain. No kidding. And Ken said, bright idea. So this is my Today's Adventure video where I bought a pair of Kolhan. If you know what those are, they're very fancy, expensive loafers for $3 at a thrift store. And Ken says, nice shoes. Too much work for me, but a lot of people find shining shoes to be very relaxing. As I do. I like shining shoes. So I went from there to Fenn's grocery store. And I was saying as I went in, I'm looking for shoe polish. In particular, tan shoe polish. And I asked aloud in the video, before you see, get on there and tell me whether or not you think I'm going to find the shoe polish. Ken said, paused. Let's see. Fenn's is a grocery store, and this is the U.S., so I would say you should at least find black shoe polish, but I'm going to say yes to the brown, to maybe a neutral as well. Edit. Yay, I got it mostly right. You did, Ken. Didn't the shoe store have shoe polish? That was Dame the First. There was no shoe store. It was a secondhand store. A shoe store did not sell me Kolhans for $3. So let's see. RW9573, the flood. The flood mitigation you spoke of is Eagle Draw. It's part of a flood control district for the area. Nice walking paths and picnic places. RW9573 to the electricity from rain says, I'm shocked. Ha! Christy Lena says, $3. Nice find. I bought a pair of Kohan loafers on clearance years ago and enjoyed them for many years. King for a Day says, love the smell of shoe polish. You would have liked the smell in here the other day when I was diligently working on my new-to-me loafers. Christy Lena said the grocery store floor definitely gave it that country feel. And Electricity from Rain, Christy says, good comments. Terry McIntyre, Score! Those are really nice loafers. My husband always loved them and kept them well polished. Try the shoe stores for polish. I couldn't find a shoe store in Artesia. It's a little small for that. Or shoe repair shops. I didn't find one of those either. But the plate, you know what? I realized afterwards, probably any one of the dollar stores would probably have shoe polish. I didn't think of that. But the place I went had exactly what I needed. Christy says, hey, Rob, off subject, do you like cucumbers, green beans, or other vine veggies? You can grow them in a pot and they climb the fence for easy picking. Well, I'm not going to be here enough to water and take care of plants like that. And I don't know. And I've never had a real interest in growing things. And I don't think I would do very well with that. But I do like green beans. I love green beans. Fresh green beans. She says, Rob is out there to rob the store for first visit. They're going to revoke your local status. Yeah, the joke there is in that video. It wasn't on the video, but in the video, I said, I found the shoe polish. Then I ran into some sushi and I grabbed the sushi and really subconsciously I took the tin of the shoe polish and put it in my pocket. And I went to the self-checkout and I checked out and paid for the sushi. Then I stopped and went, wait, where's the shoe polish? And I think my first thought was I put it down somewhere. And then I reached it into my pocket and there it was. So I pulled it out, scanned it, paid for that separately. And I almost inadvertently stole. And I mentioned too that I worked for a grocery store in the 70s in New Hampshire. And New Hampshire had a law called willful concealment of merchandise. So they could bust you for basically shoplifting in the store before you leave if you take merchandise and you put it in your purse or your pocket or try to hide it on you. That was breaking the law. So, and if that were, I don't know whether New Mexico's got a similar law or not, but New Hampshire certainly did. Susan Jack says, wow, nice market and shoe polish too. Yes, that area is known for flash flooding during a storm. Turn around, don't drown. Solid advice. Pup Camper, that's my buddy Cheryl. Pup Camper 58, hey my friend, you're becoming quite a little thrifter with a deal on the shoes. I love the grocery store. Everything looks fresh and delicious. Robert Ballard says, hey Rob, thanks for the ride along. This is a fantastic grocery store, and that's coming from someone that usually hates grocery stores. We were laughing at your senior moment with the shoe polish. Have you thought about a cat pole that has little sleeping rest slots on it? Yes, I have thought about it. Cats love to climb to a higher level and hide out, but see everything at the same time. Our best wishes to you, Dottie, Dog, and George. And tell you what I really thought about it is I went to to a local dumpster, and I looked in, and there was one of those huge things lying on its side in there, but it looked pretty dirty. Lisa says, I like the grocery store. I could easily wander around for a while. Pamela Johnson says, loving your videos. I really enjoy your trips to town. Thank you. Hugs to Dottie and George, and of course you. Well, thank you, Pamela. Alice, 88210. We live on Washington, and my husband pastors Calvary Baptist Church. To avoid stop signs, come east on Washington off 13th, turn left on 8th, right at our church, next corner, you were there. I got another local watching. That's so great. Thank you, Alice. She also has another comment. There are 2 pharmacies here besides Walmart. Brown, which is a little family-owned drugstore just down the street from me on Washington, and Lowe's, which is down by the hospital. I've driven by Lowe's, and Brown I went to because they have a little UPS. They handle UPS packages there, and I had to do a return to Amazon through UPS. So, yeah, thank you. Joyful Artist found a camp chair that had a sling cover on my last thrift outing. Put it over my shoulder to carry. Found something else and paid for it. When I got to my car, I still had the chair. We got a good laugh when I went in and paid for it. El Fuego, the fire, right? You know you got a fantastic deal on shoes when the polish is more expensive than the shoes. Yeah, I think the polish was like over $3, and the shoes were only $3. My bet, Country Market will have shoe polish, but only in black. Good guess, but they had what I wanted. Barb, hey Barb, I would wander around the store, lots to see. Pete Diaz says, great score with the loafers. I love thrift stores. Naj, hey Rob, thanks for the ride to the store. I enjoyed shopping with you. I love to go to the thrift store. That sushi is yummy. Well, maybe next time to the thrift store, I'm sure if I asked them if I could film in there, they'd say yes. Very nice people. 12 Gale, great find, Rob. She's talking about the loafers. On dog detecting breast cancer, Frigolo Jim says, great positive news. My wife's cat Pepper was constantly at her side while she was battling cancer. Unfortunately, they both passed away within a few months of each other last fall. Animals can tell when there's something wrong and get really protective. That's for sure. Jeep adventure with old friends. This was from last winter. Virginia Hankey said, this one showed up in my YouTube feed. I have not seen it. Your friend Jim has a beautiful neck tattoo, or am I just seeing things? You are not seeing things. He has a very elaborate neck tattoo. Connie Waddle says, good find on the Kohans. Durango 8882. Hi, nice place. Is the window AC, which, can you see? You probably can't even see it. It's kind of hidden back in the corner. So that right there is a picture, and the AC, you can just, it's in the shadows there. And it's, one of those small window ones, but it's only about 20 feet by 10. So yeah, it does a really good job. I was in here when it was over 100 outside, and it was in the 70s in here. So yeah, it does fine. The house is really, really well insulated. There's often where it's really hot outside and I come in here and don't even need to turn it on. Like right now, let's see. Outside, it's hard to see that. It's 80 degrees and it's 78 in here. Well, that's not a great example, but it is cooler in here than it is outside. And Durango has another. Holy cow. Geez, it's called swatting. Swatting involves making a fake report to emergency services, usually 911, to report a serious crime like a bomb threat, hostage, or active shooter. Unbelievable. It's crazy. I watch, rarely comment, I understand your point. And that was on my video, Being a YouTuber is a Risky Business. Now, in that, what I was talking about there is there are lots of reasons to not divulge your location and where your home is. I have a home base now that you're seeing the inside of, but I will never reveal even the town that this place is in because of that. It's happened to YouTubers where people, it's not enough to say nasty things online. They do things like anonymously call the police and say that you have a gun and you're shooting it, or when people get what they call swatted, and it's happened to YouTubers that I know. So in order to do that, they need your address. Well, they're never going to find it through me spilling any kind of beans or clues. Another one. From the same Durango. Hi, I have 2 older twin cats that I got from a cat sanctuary in Las Cruces. They are 13 and both love my lap. I have both on my recliner, and at night they jump up and down on the bed as much as they want. Beautiful little friends. George does that too. George is up and down off the bed. And what he likes to do is he likes to jump up right where my face is when I'm sleeping on my side. Usually wakes me up. Durango says on the last 12 Amazon purchases, hi, I have the over-the-door organizer. It's great. I buy light litter, so much easier, works much better. My friend gave me her individual air fryer free, kind of like yours. I got this today. It's called Wolfbox Super Powered Turbo Fan. It's fabulous. No more buying canned air, which is ridiculously expensive to blow dust off the PC and keyboards. I even blew off my bookshelf and the top of my book cabinet. Jeff Radford says Dollar General and Walmart should carry shoe polish. Now, I did think of Walmart, but I just didn't want to park and go through the huge crowds and stuff at Walmart. But I didn't. Dollar General at the time, I didn't think of that, and that would have been a good option. Full-time RV fears about Social Security. Louis Paparella says New Mexico may tax your Social Security. Well, it doesn't unless you make over $100,000 in income, and I'm safe from that. Trust me. Controller, great video and info. I'm not a full-timer, but my Revel van has 2 bikes in the back. I purchased an A-Bus chain lock, and it's beefy. A-Bus makes high-quality locks and chains. Safe travels, Rob, Dave. Let's take a look at that A-Bus lock. Let's go to Amazon and see what those go for. A-Bus bike lock. Oh, it's not as bad as I thought. They have like the horseshoe type one. It's $123. And the chain one is less expensive. It doesn't. I'm trying to find one that shows the chain. It's $60, and the chain is inside that fabric. I'm trying to see if it showed you how big the chain is. But that's okay. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. A number 410 positive news, where a lady rescued over 10,000 animals in her lifetime, and she's still going. And Ken said, from cat lady to animal saint. Lisa, Dottie, and George, Pup Camper has a bright yellow hitch plug. I thought it was a great idea, so I bought one. I've used it several places, especially unfamiliar campgrounds where I'm on my own. Remember decades ago, moving into an apartment complex on the first floor, we had our folding chairs stolen from our little inset patio. We were shocked. It was a hard lesson, but we learned to be more cautious with our possessions after that. I talk about like the bright yellow wheel lock that I put on when I'm boondocking sometimes, and it's like it doesn't take much to take that off with a hammer or pry bar, but my intent in my precautions is to make mine, to discourage thieves by making mine look, hey, that's going to be kind of hard, that may be hard to do, let's find an easier target. That's my strategy. This is all on staying secure in your RV. All these are. RV Life says, good suggestion, thanks. DD Cornell says, good morning. Original SIXS, Original 6, great info, thank you. Nosh says, hi Rob, great video. I learn a lot when I'm on the road. For when I'm on the road. Jim Beam says, wonder if you could use an AirTag chain and rubber snake to prevent bike theft. I like the rubber snake idea. A rubber rattlesnake. Better, we've got a rubber mechanical rattlesnake that has a motion detector and it'll make the rattle noise when somebody gets close. On the She Rescued 10,000, Lisa R says, what a beautiful way to spend a life. God bless her and all her babies. Virginia Hankey says, please tell George that his yell at the end of your video woke my cat up from a sound sleep. I laughed so hard she kept looking for him. Did you hear that, George? They're both out like lights on that couch. Jim, hey Jim, my buddy Jim Bertrand. Nice digs, Rob. Thanks, Jim. Ken Gray says, I see George is looking for a bed to sit in. George has 2 beds in here, plus a bed in the trailer. George has more beds than any cat needs. Ken says Amazon calls that lock for the tire a heavy-duty tire lock. H. Mork says, proof of life. Hi, George. Glad to see him milling around. Cotty Wample. In that vein, last night I had a camp harasser. It was dark. A car drove by and whooped and hollered out their window. They made a second pass even closer to my vehicle. I got my phone out to video if they came back around. After 15 minutes of not seeing them anymore, I broke camp. This is close to midnight. I drove to the police station and reported it. After I moved to a different camp, no one never knows what they will do. I have a thing that if I feel weird about anything, I move. That's a good policy. The place I was camping at, this incident didn't have cell service. It was most likely local teens out being bored, but I'm not sticking around to find out. Now that's a smart man. If your intuition tells you, your spidey sense says, I'm not safe here, trust it and move on. Go somewhere else. That's my advice. Greg Miller says, thanks for sharing. Tommy says, locks only stop honest people. Great video, as always. My friend, hope your healing is coming along well. I don't know if I agree with you, Tommy, that locks only stop honest people. Honest people don't steal things. I think sometimes locks stop dishonest people too. A determined dishonest person will defeat the lock. Jack Brown, Apple AirTags and other such tech, hide them in your RV and vehicle. You'll be able to track the moment someone steals them. Same for expensive stuff such as an e-bike and generator. I do utilize Apple tags. Let's see. Durango, Dottie George. Oh, yeah. Hello, Rob. Durango. She rescued 10,000. Texas lady says, love this story. She also says, I use Blink cameras around my house. I like them for I only pay my internet approximately $50 a month to operate. George and Dottie are sweet. Thank you. Thank you, Texas lady. Chris B. I came out to my camper van parked on the street outside of a friend's house only to find it jacked up on a jack, no one around. I have locking lug nuts and a catalytic converter anti-theft cage installed, so I guess they gave up and didn't even bother to take their jack with them. So you got a free jack. Good for you. Christy Lena, good info. Speaking of safety, just read about a possible serial killer in New England. Oh, I haven't heard about that one. That's not going to show up in my positive news feed. She rescued 10,000. Christy Lena has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hearts. Christy. Ken says, yep, this is normal for the Amish. Oh, this was on Amish to the Rescue. These Amish folks from Pennsylvania traveled down to the Carolinas to help rebuild a town that was devastated by the hurricane. Ken Gray says, yep, this is normal for the Amish. They're a bit hesitant about you visiting them, but they're always willing to help out and get things done. I don't know that it's normal for the Amish. It's normal for them in their community to get together and, raise a barn and things like that. They're pretty well known for that. But this is the first time I've heard about a story where they've traveled a few hundred miles to help out people they didn't know in the same way. If that is a practice in the Amish community, I've missed it. Until now. Mario Fuentes, Rob, look like you and Dottie and Kat are doing great. Great news for Carolina. Let's see, Christy Lena. That was a good chat. Let's see what they're bad news insights. Why are they good and what are mine? That ended up being a more popular video than I imagined it would be. Christy says that was a good check. Oh, someone, especially Dad, was to say we need to talk later. My stomach would be upset, always thinking I must have done something wrong. And a bad news insight, a friend of mine taught me that phrase many years ago. And that's describes the moment when you realize something about yourself that's not exactly a compliment. That's a bad news insight. And my friend would really get excited for himself or me, depending on who had the bad news insight, because to him, he was enthusiastic because once you have a bad news insight, you have the opportunity to change that. So the insight, that's why. Annie 8880, love the insights. I have my own. I will now have a cuppa and journal. I will now have a cuppa and a journal about mine. Yeah, the tack I took was not to give examples of other people's bad news insights, like I'm some counselor preaching. I disclosed mine. And that's always more effective when you talk about yourself. People connect with you more. And I do a lot of, when it's appropriate, a lot of self-disclosure in the counseling work that I do. A7 Rack. Rob, thanks for insights. Appreciate it. Caught tail end of your talk at the RTR. Yeah, I had a talk on emotional health at the Robert Trent Rendezvous. That was in January, this past winter in Quartzsite. Also, same person says Santa Fe resident, familiar with some parts of southern New Mexico. Rita Osborne, I had the same childhood, same with criticism, been married and divorced 3 times, raised my 3 children, and supported husbands, did everything I could to try to make things work. I guess I just needed to learn many lessons on this journey of life. I am perfectly happy by myself now. I try to be kind to everyone. I travel and camp part-time and love being in nature. It is very therapeutic. Excellent, Rita. Excellent. Steve Gashi, Rob, it's okay to turn there. There was a turn arrow painted on the road. I was making a left-hand turn into the Walmart, and the guy behind me was just laying on his horn. Like I had no business stopping there and signaling and waiting for the light to change or waiting for traffic. So I thought maybe there's no left turn here. But Steve said he saw in the video there was a left-hand turn lane marked. Alice again. Oh, that is Billy Bob Thornton, not Tommy Lee Jones. That's my bad. I was talking about this great series on Paramount Plus. It's called Landman. It's about the oil business in the Permian Basin, which I'm technically in the Permian Basin right here. And I kept saying the star was Tommy Lee Jones, not Tommy Lee Jones. It's Billy Bob Thornton. I got the names mixed up, so my apologies. Naj, hey Rob, great video, a lot to think about, good advice. Big hug to Dottie and George. Virginia Hankey says, this one put me on a very insightful journey. Thank you. Well, you're welcome, Virginia. Eugene Chopin. Wow, you hit upon some serious issues. I can't cover all of them without writing a book. I can share one thing I learned about myself. I love me more than I could love anybody in this world. When I tell a woman I love her and that I'm in love with her, I'm really saying I want you and I want you to want me. It's about me and what I want. I'm not going to date the ugliest girl in school all because I want her to be happy. That's not me or who I am. I sometimes get compliments on the clothes I wear. My first thought is, I don't care what you like, but thanks anyway. When a woman tells me she loves me, it's something she wants in me. We misconstrued the word love for something far more than what it is. Popularity, money, or even control. You're mine. I own you. I want this. I want that. I want you. There's some interesting, Eugene, some interesting things to think about in that comment for sure. And Lisa says, hey, Rob, Dottie, and George, this one might be one to listen to twice. Well, that's a compliment. But you're going to take your time to listen to it twice. On the Amish to the rescue, Nash says, God bless them. What beautiful, caring people. Ken Gray says, Dottie was hiding behind the cell phone and holder. Good info on the insides. Those two critters are still sound asleep on that couch. Mario Fuentes says, Rob, your insights revealed quite a lot about yourself, and it's all good. Your morals are sensitive, and best of all, you love your pets. Thanks. Thank you. Barandel 9915. Understanding and knowing yourself is an important ingredient in living a good life. Just the fact that you endeavor to do that speaks volumes as to your mental health and intelligence. Might even add a few years to your life. Ken Gray, my opinion, and I may be wrong, missing the turn is not so much a bad news insight. Realizing that you depend on GPS too much is. Getting lost is part of fixing that. True. And he goes on to say, my biggest one, he means bad news insight. That, quote, that person does not agree with me, so they will try to hurt and insult me. I work very hard not to immediately take offense and go on the attack. Patty Coretta. Hey there, Rob. That was a great topic. The one about relationships, which you mentioned, is difficult to explain, nor will you try to. For those of us in the know, we get it. I turned 60 this year, and I know exactly what you mean. I'm not successful with romantic relationships either, and once I accepted that, I was much more at peace too. It just wasn't in the cards for me. While it's sad at times, I found I do much better with dogs. My family for this lifetime were the dogs in my life, and I will also say the friends that I have chosen. There is love there too. And I answered her on here, and I said, agreed. And I do agree with what she said. I have both a great aunt and great uncle, both never married. And they were both remarkable people. So I come by it honestly. Susan B. says, I realized a long time ago that marriage was not for me and made peace with being single. I also fear that bringing children into this world with all they need to contend with requires an act of courage that I'm glad I don't have to deal with. I have lots of nieces and nephews to carry the world forward into the future. Generous of you to share your understanding and insight. I think I can use your bad news insight process to identify a persistent problem I have that I failed to deal with and solve, so thank you a second time. Well, you're welcome, Susan. Susan Jack says, I watched the Landman great series. Hope they come up with more seasons. I just finished Ray Donovan. That was good also. Thanks for taking me on your errand day. Good therapy session today. Stay safe. Landman, they got approved for a second season, but we won't see it, I don't think, until, I think it's January 2026. So it's going to be a while. Bob Stellmaker, your talk was very enlightening. I enjoyed it a lot. Well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Susan Larson said, interesting video. I can relate to many of your insights. Retired from counseling, convicted teenage boys. Psychology will always fascinate me. Why do we do the things we do? Just why? And sometimes figuring out the why doesn't stop us from continuing to do those things that cause harm to ourselves. Isn't that interesting? So insight often is not the cure. You got to be willing, you got to be in enough pain to do something about it. Chris B, great video. Love the blue on blue suspenders. Topaz Farm says, oh, this is a good one. That's the last one, I think, on the Bad News Insight. These next few are on from this morning's snake venom. And it's really about a snake venom antidote that was found that is very promising. Nash says, hi, Rob. What great news. I hope they can keep the cost down on the broad spectrum snake serum. Such life-saving medication should not be priced so high. And Ken Gray says, very promising. And guess what, guys? That is it for today. We are done at 50 minutes, and I hope you enjoy these comment videos as much as I enjoy doing them. Thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow.